How's it going, everybody? Chase with 2-Track Nation here, and I've got something cool for you guys. This is an EmuWing. What is an EmuWing? Well, it's a piece of metal, and what it does is it replaces your rear quarter window. So this is like a gull wing for your rear quarter glass on each side. And I also want to be sure to thank EmuWing because they sent me this kit and I told them kind of what I was going to do with it, and they were like, yeah, that sounds awesome. But it comes with a frame so that you remove your glass, install this frame down here that I'll show you in more detail as we go through the install process. How you install it is it actually gets glued with this marine adhesive. You have a bunch of clamps, clamp it around after you remove your inside trim, remove the piece of glass and your weather stripping, and then install this frame down here and glue it in. And then this piece gets installed and you have these pretty fancy hinges. They kind of look like fancy cabinet hinges to me. And so it basically like pushes the panel out and swings it up so it clears your body. So gas struts are what hold it up. And these things are really cool because now with this whole thing, you gain access to the side of your vehicle without having to open your rear tailgate. And some people that have like drawer systems that are kind of limit the side access now you can access right next to that. It's all weather sealed, comes weather sealing, some extra brackets. Let's get to the garage and let's get this installed.
Okay, so you can see I already took this trim panel off. You're gonna have to do that. You don't have to necessarily take this bottom one off completely, but you're gonna have to pull it away from the body in order to get this upper trim panel off. Aside from that, you're gonna have to disassemble this guy, and these two bolts you'll want to take off. There's two bolts right here that you're gonna want to take off, and then the whole window pretty much comes right out. Now is also a really good time to clean behind here. I have so much dust underneath here, as you can probably see. Oh, wow. Okay, anyways, let's get this window off. All right, so all you're gonna need is a 10mm deep well, and you need a deep well because these are recessed, and it's pretty nice. They have like extended studs so the nut doesn't fall back, because I would totally lose that in the body. The other thing, there's two wires here that you're gonna want to take off, right there and up there, and this the front side is done. And then you're gonna want to take these guys off. All right, the window is now ready to come off. And we'll pull back. All right. Okay, so that was pretty easy. At this point, you're just gonna wanna pull the seal off. Just using a little goo gun to get this goo gone. You want to make sure you clean it up really good, and then I'm actually going to come back and clean this probably with like some brake clean or IPA to get the goo gone off, actually, because we want the adhesive to have a really good seal all around here, because we're going to have quite a bit of weight, and it's really just the adhesive that's going to keep the plate in there. A little bit of brake cleaner. And I don't really care about the paint right here, so that's why I'm okay using brake cleaner. Try not to get it on the rusted seal. Look, there's a bunch of black stuff right there, so it's a good thing that we went around and did this. All right, so you're gonna want to get a bunch of clamps. And literally the more the merrier, because what we're going to be doing is, first of all, we're going to test fit this in here. It's a flat piece of metal, which is fine. Make sure to put it behind this seal, and I'll watch this front edge, and it's going to conform to the car there. But what you're going to be doing once you apply the sealant is you're going to want to clamp it everywhere that you can. And that's to provide a good seal and keep its shape while the seal hardens. So we're going to test practice here. This part actually might not need any because that part definitely needs it. You probably won't need any clamps on this part of the frame just due to it's curving, it's forcing this curve right here. So by clamping here and here, you're naturally going to be compressing right here. They also recommend putting some painter's tape all around here so that when it oozes out, it's pretty easy to clean up. So I'll probably do that as well. And honestly, a painter's line, if you put painter's tape right here, you'll be able to refit this exactly where you want, just guiding by the tape. EmuWing has these clamps that get installed at the very top right here, and they pinch the top of the frame. So I think if I install these and maybe leave just one clamp down here, I can practice installing the frame with just the panel, and I can make sure that my alignment is correct. So I'm gonna do that right now, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. You're gonna need an 8mm deep well and a 3mm Allen wrench. And you'll notice that you kind of have to tighten these equally because there's slots in these brackets here. And there's a slot in this frame and this, and if you tighten one side more than the other, they won't really line up. So you gotta kind of tighten them evenly. And then we can install the hinge. Double check here. I think I can actually take pretty much all of these off. So I'm gonna put the hinges on actually. Yeah, this hardware is really small. 7mm. You wanna go down to a 7mm. All right, so we want the ball pointed forward on the front and backwards on the back. And I'm only gonna do 2, not 4. All right, so now it's time to put the panel on. We've got these pretty cool nuts that allow for a lot of compliance in this panel. So it shouldn't really matter a whole lot how much off you are with this. So I'm going to put this panel on with just 2 to see how it fits, and we'll see how it goes. All right guys, it's a little bit colder out here today, but I got the EmuWing installed last night for a test fit. It's very rough right now, but I'll just open it up and show you guys what it actually looks like. I actually kind of had to uninstall it, and then I had to drive, so it's kind of janky right now. But anyways, you can kind of see how it functions. Gas struts go up, pretty nice. So I'm pretty happy with how this ended up getting test fitted. And I'm going to now take it apart, and we're actually going to seal this side in as well as the other side. So we're going to do both sides right now and get it all sealed, and it's got to sit for about 24 hours pretty much before you can start mounting hardware to it. So let's get to it. I got a bunch of clamps, and I'm going to go ahead and go around and tape it all off. So we've got our sealant ready. We've got the window placement. We've got our clamps ready. You're gonna wanna make sure that your clamps are real close to you. You're gonna wanna wear gloves so you don't contaminate the nice clean surface that we just had. And so I'm gonna pull this off now and run a bead. All right, so they say generally around 5mm for the bead, and when you go around a corner, make it a little thicker. So I'm going to right around the inside edge of this trim piece, go all the way around, and you want a nice continuous bead. Probably a little more than 5mm, but that's okay, I guess. I definitely feel like I'm using more than I probably should. All right, looks pretty good. Gonna go around and touch up maybe a couple spots. Oh yeah. I think I'm actually gonna throw a piece of painter's tape over this trim here, just in case. All right. Moment of truth. Let's go. Make sure to get it under the rubber and chrome trim first, I think, and then roll it up. Yeah. Looks pretty good. You can see it oozing out here. It's kind of what we want. Means we have a good bead. Okay, so now it says now's a good time to clean up a lot of the stuff. I'm not sure that my masking job was really great because I didn't get super close. So I'm gonna pull all of the masking tape off. I actually did an okay job. I think we did a good job. I just have a really big zip tie and I'm going to use it to kind of scrape all this extra material. They're saying it's pretty hard to get off if you wait until it dries. So wax and grease remover is supposed to be the key. Just rub it in, it doesn't matter. It just dissolves it. All right, so this side is done. Done, you know, we're gonna wait for it to cure. I have let the frames install or cure for 2 days. They've been clamped, and this is actually still clamped behind here. I actually found out that I could put these windows back in as long as I popped them open with all of the clamps in place here, because they pop out and it leaves room for the clamps to go because there's no seal and all sorts of stuff like that. So we're gonna take this window off. I already did the other window. It's installed, 100% done. Just had to do it off camera to make sure that I do it right. But we're gonna go ahead and take this off now and get going. All right, so I'm gonna show you all the clamps are still installed. Boom. Yeah, so as you can see, I went a little overboard with the clamps, but I wanted to make sure that I had a really good seal and finish. So these clamps are like $1 a piece at Home Depot, so in my mind you can't really have too much. And because, you know, you can drive around while it's still sealing, that was my big thing. I use this truck every day, and being able to put the window back in while it's still curing and being able to drive around was like awesome. So it worked pretty well. What we're gonna do now is, I got all the hardware here. We got these 2 brackets, right? They need to go up here and sandwich the top frame for the latch, or sorry, the hinge that goes here. And you're gonna wanna make sure that you install all 4 of the hinge bolts loosely before you tighten these down, because they walk like this and it's hard to see, but there's slots and it's really difficult to line them up if you haven't done that. So that's the method we're gonna use. It is a little bit finicky getting this stuff all lined up, I will not lie. And it's important that you keep it all loose so that you don't have many problems. So now we can go ahead and tighten these. So these, you don't want to crank down on them, you just want them nice and firm. And I think that's because when you're tightening it down, there's sheet metal up here that you're clamping against, but if you tighten this down, it'll sandwich it like this, and it'll want to peel the gasket from the frame away. So you just want it snug-ish, enough so that it doesn't move and it helps clamp. So now we're gonna go ahead and tighten the 4 bolts for these, but in order to do that, we need to place them properly and they need to be about 10 millimeters away from this face. I have a caliper here, and go ahead and adjust this. And I actually found on my vehicle that the front needed to be a little bit closer. So I'm going to put it at 9 millimeters. All right, this is the cool part, right? There's some special nuts that come with it, like this. And they cover up the holes, and these holes allow for a lot of compliance and movement, which is really great because it's kind of difficult to get everything lined up perfectly between frame mounting locations, these, and everything. It's best to start with 2 just to get the wing placement right. And what happens is when you tighten it, there's a little rubber washer here and it squishes out, and I try to make it nice and uniform squishiness, I guess. It's a good idea to make sure that these are unlocked as well. There we go. All right, so we got one on. We get this back one on. Don't drop the hardware, don't drop the hardware, don't drop the hardware. So it's important to get this gap right. I'm gonna put something underneath here to space it up. And for that, I'm literally just gonna use a piece of cardboard. I folded it in half. And that's the thickness that I want. For this, you're gonna need your 7 millimeter, and this is really hard to film, so it's inside. You're gonna need a 7 millimeter and a 10 millimeter. And I'm just gonna do this real quick. All right, so the reason I recommend tightening the inner ones first is because they're really easy to get to. We can take that out now. And now we're gonna tighten up these guys. Gas struts coming in next. And I would recommend installing them upside down like this, so you get more room with the strut out of the way, or this part out of the way. They're pretty lightweight too, so easy to compress on your own. All right, and then you can adjust how much these open with these screws right here. For me, I'm gonna tighten them all the way down. And if you want them to open shorter, you can get a little bit shorter gas struts as well. That would do the same thing. But otherwise they open up almost completely. The next thing is our gasket. The easiest way I found was actually you go inside, you close it, and you go inside and you just use your finger and you go around the edge like that, and your skin kind of rubs off and leaves a mark. And then you can open it back up and put the gasket where it needs to be, half an inch to an inch away from your skin mark. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. This is a bulb seal, and it is directional. You want this pointing outside so that when water hits it, it pushes and it actually increases the seal. I'm gonna find the middle first. And that's the middle. But before we even go beyond that, we need to prep the surface for the adhesive. So I just sprayed a little bit of brake clean on here. I'm gonna wipe it really quick. Don't go over your skin mark. You don't need to do that. So now I have my center. And replace the gasket.
Alright, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you install an EmuWing.